Hello and welcome. My name is Aaron. I am the developer on Engineer Alpha, and today we are going to be talking about some new features coming in update 0.7. First is some updates to the small crane. It has received a new model. It does maintain its rotational input, but it does now have a specific place for the item input and output here on the side. Interacting with cranes has now changed. Pressing the interact key will now open up the crane GUI, same as when you open the character sheet while piloting it. Entering a crane can now be done by pressing the R key, which is the same key used to exit the crane while inside of it. When you are inside of a crane, you still fly around and have full 3D movement, same as before. The build area that you can interact with has changed slightly. The crane has roughly the same volume that you can build within. However, now it is exactly defined based upon the block grid, and will now show you that grid when you attempt to build something outside of its area. There are changes to interacting with objects while you're piloting a crane. Previously, interacting was a crane action that you had to queue up, just like a building, and the crane would go and interact with that object, and you'd have the ability to interact with the chest or machine or whatever it was. However, that wasn't really fulfilling my vision for what cranes should be. They were always intended to be more of a limited space god mode, if you will, that allows the player to do more than what the player character can do, and more easily, but with some limitations, but especially fewer limitations when it came to interacting and selecting how things do. So now interaction is instant, free, can be done with anything within the crane's volume instantly, and it will not interrupt the crane in any way. It is now completely separate, so you don't have to worry about that anymore, which makes it so much easier to just go and interact, set up your machinery how you want it after the crane has placed it down, and you get a much better sense of, I can do anything as long as I stay within this space. The crane has also received a new collision box to bring it more in line with all of the other buildings in the game. It's very large and covers the base as well as the entire volume at the top where the boom swings in. The old version of construction orders was not great that cranes used to queue up the placing of blocks in buildings. I was never happy with it, so I wanted to change how it worked. The old system was basically each crane remembered what you had built with it in its own memory. Now those orders are global. So if you press the C key to open the construction manager, you can now see a list of every construction order in the entire world that has either been claimed by something that has the ability to claim construction orders, such as the small crane, or orders that are currently unclaimed, as well as what they are, where they're located in the world, and the required items that are needed to place whatever that is, or what you will be getting back should it be a removal order. This does mean that cranes will have the ability to, in theory, get things that you built with one crane. Another one can claim that order and build it. It doesn't, it could work with this, but because of the way the shape the crane is, it's difficult to get their volumes to overlap. When there are bigger cranes and you can place a smaller one inside a bigger one, this will be much more evident. But it does also allow other objects other than cranes in the world to have the ability to fulfill construction orders. There won't be any others in this update, but in the future there will definitely be some. There will probably be a player attached one is the most likely, but we won't get into that today. So in addition to placement orders, there are also removal orders. Removal orders can be queued with the default hotkey of Q and while aiming at something. Anything marked for deconstruction gets the red outline around it, and if it is a machine that can run, it will disable that machine while it's currently marked for deconstruction. Pretty much everything in the game, except for like the player character and a few special things, can be marked for deconstruction. Whether it's blocks, buildings, trees, pretty much everything. You can mark for deconstruction whether you're piloting a crane as here or is just as your player character, or you should be able to. So that's not quite working right, but you will be able to place a deconstruct order as the player character or while you're piloting a crane, either way. So the other thing that goes along with construction orders is blueprints. You will have the ability to create your own designs and store them in a blueprint. This is done with the blueprint table seen here, that is a very cheap building and can be simply placed down anywhere in the world. The yellow striped cube behind the blueprint table determines what the air volume is that is going to be blueprinted. You can manually adjust it to any value between 1 and 25 blocks for each X, Y, and Z. It uses local coordinates based on where the blueprint table is for length, width, and height. Once you define the area that you want the blueprint table to remember, all you have to do is build something, any shape you want, using any blocks or buildings. Let's grab a chest. And you can tell the blueprint table, I want to remember just the blocks, the buildings, or both. Either way, you need to choose one or the other. If you choose none, you get an error. And we can just pick a name, any name you want. Test blueprint. Here, pick draw, takes a little while. Boom, and we get one blueprint in our inventory. And if we look at our inventory, we have a blueprint containing the name, test blueprint, 10 dirt, and 1 iron chest. And if we take this and put it on our action bar, we can use it and place one down in the world. Now, blueprints are all based on the lower left back corner. And that serves as the attachment point to the blueprint table, as well as where it's centered when you place it as a blueprint. So if you go big with your area and you don't use all that, it's going to just be dead space between where you're aiming and the actual stuff. So you want to keep it as condensed as you can. This may change in the future. It's a little messy with 3 dimensions, but I don't know how it's going to work out eventually. But we can take this and just place one down in the world, and we can use a crane. now and get copies of this. If we can find something here. And go to our crane. Give it some iron chests. And a place to put those removal orders. And we can place down one of these. Just like that. And our crane will go and fulfill those orders. And we can place down as many copies of this as we want without a problem. And it works. Blueprints can also be rotated on the Z-axis. All of this will be coming in version 0.7, which is slated for release beginning of December. I have a bunch more content to show you before then. Next month will be a more logistics focused piece of content, but it is also brand new machinery, and it is a building that builds like no other in the game, which it's very cool. So we'll see that then. That should come out sometime end of next month. Yeah. Thanks for watching.